Let's talk about a grammar rule you've probably heard your entire life. Don't use double negatives. What if I told you this rule isn't based on logic or how language actually works? Instead, it's rooted in elitism and discrimination. Meet Bishop Robert Lowth, an 18th century English bishop who published a short introduction to English grammar in 1762. His belief was that English needed to follow the rules of Latin, a dead language that nobody spoke anymore. Specifically, he wanted the elimination of double negatives. Here's the thing, English speakers have been using double negatives for centuries. Even Shakespeare used them. But Lowth declared them illogical, stating that two negatives equal positive, like in math. Yet double negatives are seen in multiple languages across the world. Lowth's real goal wasn't linguistic accuracy. It was social gatekeeping. By creating selective rules, he could separate the educated upper class from the working class speakers. And unfortunately, his influence spread throughout the English education, embedding this myth into our society. Fast forward to today, and Lowth's legacy is alive and well. Teachers, parents, politicians, and officials continue to enforce this so-called rule. Man, I don't want nothing to do with that project.
You mean you don't want anything to do with that project? Double negatives aren't proper English.
People are constantly corrected for using double negatives. But the question is why? The meaning is perfectly clear. Everyone understands what "I don't want nothing" means. So why the correction? It's not just individuals pushing the myth. Major institutions have integrated it into their standards. The U.S. government advises medical companies to avoid using double negatives in their communications, claiming they confuse people and are always grammatically incorrect. Universities publish style guides warning against double negatives. Publishing companies reject them, and professional organizations train employees to eliminate them from their speech. See, but here's what they don't tell you. Double negatives aren't confusing. They follow consistent, logical rules in the dialects that they're used. The real issue isn't clarity, it's prejudice. This is where the myth becomes truly harmful. Double negatives are a fundamental feature of African American Vernacular English, or AAVE. Phrases like "I don't know nothing about that" or "he didn't do nothing wrong" are grammatically consistent and rule governed in AAVE. In the housing market, research by John Bow revealed that people who sound black on the phone are denied housing opportunities at higher rates than white people. In education, black children are disproportionately referred to speech pathology services not because of speech disorders, but because they speak AAVE. In employment, qualified candidates are constantly passed over because their natural speech patterns don't match arbitrary corporate standards. The myth of the double negative creates real barriers. Educational tracking that limits opportunities, employment discrimination that perpetuates economic inequality, and constant microaggressions that tell AAV speakers their language, their culture, and by extension themselves are inferior. This isn't about grammar. It's about racism dressed up as language rules. Let's bring this full circle. The myth started with Bishop Robert Lowth in the 1700s, a man who wanted to control language to reinforce social hierarchies. For centuries, that manufactured rule has been used to discriminate against working-class speakers, immigrants, and especially AAVE speakers. But here's what matters. The myth holds no merit. Linguists are clear that double negatives are not illogical, not incorrect, and not a sign of limited intelligence. They're a normal feature of human language, used in English for centuries and in countless languages worldwide. As a society, we need to acknowledge that linguistic differences are valuable and important. We need to stop using grammar myths as weapons against marginalized communities, and we need to recognize that so-called standard English isn't superior. It's just a dialect that happens to have social power. I want to leave you with a challenge. Reflect on your own biases. When you hear someone use a double negative, do you judge them? When you correct someone's grammar, are you really correcting communication, or are you enforcing social hierarchy? Language is not perfect. It's messy, diverse, and constantly evolving. And myths like this one are designed to wrongfully antagonize people whose only crime is speaking different. Don't let arbitrary rules stop you from hearing what people are actually saying.